Family. I know it's been a minute. I know it's been a minute. We are hitting the reset button on relationship discovery. We're doing this all over again. We're doing this all over again. I want to welcome you to Relationship Made Easy, Relationship Discovery. I am RC, your CBT and mental health practitioner, helping you to heal, grow, and become healthier in life and relationships. Whether you're dating, engaged, married, healing from heartbreak, or just simply trying to build a healthier connection, you are in the right place. Here we just don't talk about, relationship stuff, but we learn how to understand ourselves, recognize unhealthy patterns, make healthier choices, and build stronger connections and love in the right way. Today's topic is why we keep choosing the wrong person. Why we keep choosing the wrong person. Question is this: have you ever looked back over your relationship history and asked yourself, how did I end up here again? I know I have. Plenty of times. I have. Trust me. A different name, different face, different situation, but somehow the disappointment feels the same, right? It's familiar. The confusion is familiar. The inconsistency is familiar. The emotional exhaustion is familiar. After a while, you begin to wonder, why do I keep meeting the wrong person, or why do I keep meeting the same person with a different face and different name, right? But today I want to ask a deep question, because we're going to have that hard conversation today, and I hope it really helps you out. So maybe the question is not only why I keep meeting the wrong person. Maybe the question is, why do I keep choosing people who create the same experience in life, right? Why do I keep choosing people who create the same experience in life? Basically the same thing that has happened over and over again. So I want you to let that sit for a minute. Think about that, right? I want you to think about that hard, right? Just look over your past history, and you will find out different people, different situations has caused the same experience that I've had over and over. And that is because sometimes the person changes, but patterns remain the same. Okay, so in this episode 1 of Relationship Discovery series, this series is basically, it's not about, how to date better. We may get into that, but it's more about your health in dating. So it's about, learning how to see better, right? So it's about understanding yourself or ourselves, your patterns, your beliefs, your emotional needs, and the experiences that actually influence the people that we choose. So basically, healthy relationships do not begin with finding the right person, because it doesn't. Healthy relationships begin with understanding the person you bring into every relationship, and that person is you. You have to understand yourself. Now, before I go any further, I just want to make some things clear. All right, so this teaching is not about blaming yourself for unhealthy relationships that you have experienced. I do want to say that you are not responsible for another person lying to you. You're not responsible for someone manipulating you, disrespecting you, betraying you, or just refusing to grow, right? But But you are responsible for becoming aware of what you repeatedly overlooked, what you normalized, what you tolerated, and what you continue to attract. So self-awareness is not self-blame. Self-awareness is basically the beginning of better choices in your life, especially relationships. And sometimes the greatest discovery you can make is not learning something new about the other person that you're dating. It's learning something new about yourself. Okay. And so relationships reveal more than your preferences. Relationships reveal more than your preferences. So most people will say that they have a type, right? We hear it all the time. They just have a type, and there is nothing wrong with having a type or having your preferences. Maybe your preferences that you like, or your preference that you like is certain personalities, or you're attracted to confidence. Maybe you appreciate someone who is outgoing or ambitious, someone who's quiet, funny, or just affectionate, right? Those are normal preferences. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes what we call types, or our type, is simply not a preference. Sometimes our type is a pattern. So I want you to listen to this. Your pattern will often disguise itself as your preference. I'm going to say that again. Your pattern will often disguise itself as a preference. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that, because it happens. It really does happen. So sometimes we repeatedly choose emotionally unavailable people. Sometimes we choose people who need to be rescued, fixed, encouraged, or convinced to love us correctly, right? And then sometimes we are attracted to people who may make us work for their attention. And because of that attraction, it feels normal, or it feels natural. We assume the connection must be, right, because it feels familiar. But what we feel natural is not always healthy, right? So sometimes it's only, or sometimes it only feels normal or natural because it feels familiar. So one of the biggest mistakes that I have made, and I believe that we've all have made, is believing that we choose people only by sight or by our eyes. And unfortunately, we don't. We choose people with our experiences, with our beliefs. Unfortunately, we choose people by our wounds. And we choose people by our expectations. And then most times we choose people through the lens that life has given us. And that is why two people can meet the exact same person and see two completely different things. So one person can see inconsistency, another person can see something or someone who needs more time. One person can see emotional unavailability, another person can see a challenge. One person can see red flags, another person can see potential. The difference is not always the person standing in front of them. Sometimes the difference is the lens that they are looking through. And here's something that I want to remind us, and this is that we don't always see people as they are. We often see them through what we have experienced. I'll say that again. We don't always see people as they are. We often see them through what we have experienced. So what I'm saying is that your lens may have been shaped by what love looked like in your home growing up. It may have been shaped by how affection was given or withdrawn or withheld. It may have been shaped by whether your feelings were respected or dismissed. It may have been shaped by whether love felt safe and consistent or unpredictable and conditional. And without realizing it, we tend to carry these things or these experiences into our adulthood. We may say that we want something healthy while emotionally continuing to choose what feels familiar. And that's where relationship discovery begins. And this is what these teachings and these segments are all about. It's about, it begins where you stop asking only what is wrong with them into asking what is this relationship revealing about myself, right? Not to shame you, not to blame you, but it is to understand yourself. Because if you can't change the patterns, if you're not willing to change the patterns, because you refuse to examine them, you're always going to end up in the same cycle or the same pattern, right? So familiar doesn't mean healthy, okay? So let me ask this question as I pull this out for us. Have you ever met someone who treated you well, communicated clearly, respected your boundaries, and was emotionally consistent, but something about the relationship felt almost too calm, right? Maybe you thought, I don't know, something's missing, right? But then you met someone else who's unpredictable, right? Someone who gave you attention one day and then distanced themselves the next day. Someone who kept you guessing, right? Or someone who made you work for their attention, and then suddenly the emotions felt intense, right? You felt butterflies, you felt excitement, you felt chemistry, but sometimes what we call chemistry is simply familiarity. That's it. So familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar peace. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar peace. If you have lived around inconsistency long enough, consistency may feel suspicious. If you have spent your life chasing love, being chosen may feel uncomfortable. If you always had to, prove your value, someone loving you freely may feel unfamiliar. If chaos has always surrounded your relationship, peace may feel boring. And unfortunately, a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages, people who are dating now, they self-sabotage their relationships because they get with someone who is emotionally intelligent, and they come from something that's always traumatic or something dramatic, just drama and chaos. And what happens is that they have to stir up some kind of chaos, some kind of trauma, something, just for them to feel comfortable, for them to feel in a familiar space, because they're not used to peace. They're not used to that. And their nervous system is still on that survival mode. And it's hard to reset that, their nervous system, because they feel like, dang, this ain't no drama. This dude is faithful, or this chick is faithful, and there's no drama and all that stuff. I would say more or less for the women. On the women's side, guys like peace. On the women's side, it's more or less like, dang, this dude is boring. He don't do nothing. He go to work, come home. There's no drama. There's this, that, and the third, right? So that's most women. That's not all women. It's most women who have not healed. Let me clear that up. So there's a group of women I put in a box that have not healed, that have to seek chaos, in their time of peace. Fortunately, they don't recognize they have a time of peace to reset their nervous system, right? But they look at it being boring, but peace isn't boring. Right? Peace is what healthy love feels and look like when your nervous system is no longer being entertained by confusion, right? So let me say that again. Peace is not the absence of connection. Peace is the absence of unnecessary confusion. I'm gonna say that again slowly. Peace is not the absence of connection. Peace is the absence of unnecessary confusion. So a person can become so familiar with chaos that it feels stable. It's like the stability of that feels good to them. It fulfills them, right? Not because the stability is empty, but because their emotions have learned to associate love with uncertainty. So the mind often confuses familiarity with safety, but familiar does not mean safe. Familiar does not mean healthy. Familiar simply means I have been here before. And if you're like me, I don't like to go places all the time consistently because that gets boring to me. I know what's going to happen. I know, I need to go to different places to experience different things. But familiarity, it is the statement of I've been here before. And sometimes we tend to return to the same kind of pain because at least we know how to function on the inside of all of that, right? So we know how to chase, we know how to overgive, we know how to wait, we know how to make excuses, we know how to survive inconsistency, but surviving a relationship is not the same as being loved well inside of one or on the inside. Just because you know how to survive it doesn't mean you were meant to stay in it. That's good. Just because you knew how to survive that chaos, survive the drama, survive the toxicity of things, doesn't mean that you have to stay in it. It doesn't mean that you have to live there, right? So healing is what happens. Healing helps us to stop confusing survival with love. Healing changes what feels normal. Healing changes what catches our attention. Healing changes what we actually tolerate. Healing changes the way you respond to inconsistency. When you begin to heal, what once attracted you may not no longer impress you. So healing helps change your appetite. Can I say it that way? Healing change your appetite. For myself, I went from eating a lot of red meat. Then I changed to alternative eating, right? To now I am now changing once again because my appetite is changing for plant-based, organic plant-based foods. So when you begin to heal, me personally, I won't go back to eating a lot of stuff that I used to eat years ago. I just can't do it. It's not a part of my appetite anymore. My body craves more healthier things. And so it's the same thing. When you heal properly, your emotions, your nervous system then recognizes that these things don't attract me anymore. I'm not impressed about by these things anymore, right? And then it's like a trigger. I already know what's going to happen. I'm not going down that road. But once what once excited you may begin to concern you. What once felt like chemistry may begin looking like instability, right? And what once felt boring may actually begin to feel like peace. As I stated earlier, healing changes your appetite. You stop craving what once kept you emotionally hungry. You no longer want that anymore. You no longer want that anymore. And then, and also, I want to, let's bring this up, chemistry. Chemistry is not compatibility. We have that confused. I've counseled and talked to many couples who say that they have chemistry with a person. Not only that, even in my own life, I felt chemistry meant compatibility, compatibility, and it's not. So, with chemistry, chemistry does matter because attraction matters, and you should also enjoy the person that you're with, right? If you don't, there's just no chemistry at all. You should feel connected with them. You should feel drawn to them. But chemistry is not compatibility. It's not, and it's not the same thing. Chemistry answers one question, and that answer is, do you enjoy being around me? Or do you enjoy being around each other? Compatibility answers a different question, and that is, can we actually build a healthy life together? And that's something that you need to think about. If you're dating somebody right now, if you're seeing somebody, y'all got chemistry. It can be physical chemistry, whatever it may be. But the thing is that are they compatible with you? So like two people, completely different conversation. You can have chemistry with one person or with someone who can't communicate, right? So you have chemistry with one person who can't communicate. Excuse me. You can have chemistry with one person who cannot communicate. You can have chemistry with someone who is emotionally unavailable. You can have chemistry with a person who is not honest. You can have chemistry with someone who doesn't share your same values, your vision, your level of emotional maturity, right? So chemistry, excuse me, chemistry may start the relationship, but compatibility determines whether it can survive, right? So chemistry can make your heart rate. Compatibility helps your life remain at peace. Chemistry can create excitement, but compatibility creates stability. Chemistry may make you want somebody, but compatibility helps you determine whether that person is healthy for you or not. And this is where many people get in trouble because they don't have an understanding, or they mix chemistry with compatibility. But strong feelings don't always indicate a strong foundation. Sometimes emotional intensity is not intimacy. Sometimes it's anxiety. Sometimes it's uncertainty. Sometimes it's the fear of losing someone you never truly had, right? And sometimes it's the emotional high created by someone giving you just enough attention to keep you invested. Intensity, I want you to hear this. Intensity can make you feel connected to someone who has never made you feel secure. That's deep. Intensity can make you feel connected to someone who has never made you feel secure. That is why we have to stop making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Feelings do matter, but feelings also require interpretation. You have to ask yourself, what is this relationship producing in me? Am I becoming more secure or more anxious? Am I becoming clearer or more confused? Do I feel emotionally safe, or do I feel like I am consistently trying to earn this person affection? Do their words and behavior agree? Do I know where I stand, or am I always trying to read between the lines? Confusion is information. Confusion is information. Do not ignore confusion simply because you are attracted to a person. Healthy relationships may have difficult conversations. Healthy relationships may experience disagreements. Healthy relationships also may require patience, forgiveness, and growth. But healthy relationships should not require you to live in a consistent state of emotional uncertainty. It should not. And a healthy relationship and the feelings of uncertainty, that doesn't even go together. So you shouldn't feel like you have to keep guessing whether someone cares. You shouldn't have to feel you shouldn't have to like try to decode basic communications, right? You should not have to beg for clarity from someone who benefits from for the person who keeps confusing you. You shouldn't have to like beg for to get clarity from anybody. And clarity is a form of care. So I want to let you know that. So if you're not getting clarity, that is a telltale sign that someone does not care about you. They want to keep you confused. They want to keep you in the dark. But clarity is a form of care. So when someone cares about you emotionally and your emotional well-being, they don't repeat. They don't repeatedly leave you like guessing or in the dark or anything of that nature. It's just not in their. It's not in their the fabric of their being. Like they intentionally do not hide anything from you, or want you to keep guessing or keep you in the dark. Their intentions is to give you clarity so you can have understanding, so you can have that trust, and so that you can know for sure where you stand with that person. Now, unhealed wounds often choose familiar pain. Unhealed wounds often choose familiar pain. Another reason why we keep choosing the wrong person or the wrong people is that unhealed wounds have a way of influencing our decisions. We may believe that we are choosing based on love, right? But sometimes we are choosing based on what still hurts, and it's subtle. We don't know this, right? And if we have always felt unseen, you may become deeply attached to someone or anyone who gives you the slightest attention, right? If you have always felt rejected, you may work harder to win over people who have been emotionally unavailable. If you always felt abandoned, you are going to hold on to a relationship long after you've stopped being healthy. If you have always believed you were not enough, you may accept the bare minimum and call it love, right? So your heart can want what is healthy while your wounds keep choosing what is familiar. That's crazy. I'll say that again. Your heart can want what is healthy while your wounds keep choosing what is familiar. That is why desire alone isn't enough. You can desire a healthy relationship and still have unhealthy relationship habits. You can say you want peace and still attract the people who bring confusion. You can say You want commitment and still entertain people who consistently avoid you, right? You can say that you want communication and still remain with someone who repeatedly shuts you out. There's often a gap between what we say we want and what our patterns continue to choose. So relationship discovery is about closing that gap. It is about examining the beliefs underneath our choices. So you may believe I have to earn love. So you overgive, you overextend yourself, you become the rescuer, the fixer, the counselor, the one who is always understanding. Now I know a lot of us have friends that we know they're rescuers. So someone's like, oh, we're rescuing some dude, or a guy, rescuing a female, or the fixer. They gotta fix them up. They gotta do this, or the counselor one, the one, the one who's always trying to be the counselor of the relationship, and we've all been there, or we know someone who is the fixer, the rescuer, or the counselor. Excuse me, right? But maybe you believe everyone eventually will leave. I've been there myself, and so you become grateful for the bare minimum. I've been there. I've been there because of I had abandonment issues from childhood, and that led into a lot of my relationships that were not successful. And I got help. I got therapy. I healed. I got stronger with emotional intelligence. And this teaching here, I'm just stopping for a second. This teaching here is something personal to me because I want you to understand and heal from those patterns, so that way you can recognize what's going to take you back down that road and what's going to add value to your life. So sometimes we get with people who destroy the value or take away value or just don't add value. I'll put it that way. They just don't add value to your life. And then you have other relationships where that person adds value to your life, add more value to your life. And that only comes from being healed and having your lens, your emotional lens adjusted to see things in the proper way. So maybe you believe that this may be the best that I can get, right? So you remain in the situation that repeatedly makes you feel unseen, unheard, and unvalued, right? So I want you to listen to this, we often accept the love that agrees with what we secretly believe about ourselves. I want to say that again slowly. We often accept the love that agrees with what we secretly believe in ourselves. So if you don't believe you are worthy of consistency, inconsistency will immediately offer it to you. It would offer that love to you. If you don't believe if you don't believe that your needs matter, neglect will fill that void. If you believe love must be earned, you will keep working for what should be natural or mutual. But healthy love is not something you should perform for. You shouldn't have to have to you shouldn't have to abandon yourself to prove that that you're committed. That's losing yourself in a relationship. You shouldn't have to become emotionally exhausted to prove that you care for somebody. You shouldn't have to carry the entire relationship while the other person enjoys the benefits of your efforts. It shouldn't be. And I know a lot of us, I'm talking to some of us today. I'm talking to you today that you're going through this right now. And I hope this hits home for you. Love shouldn't, love should require growth, but it should not require self assurance. Love should require growth, but not self assurance. You can love someone deeply and still refuse to lose yourself trying to keep them. We fall in love with potential, and that's a lot. I've said it for years that a lot of us get in a relationship because of potential, because of what our expectation is of that person or what we may see glimpses of. And unfortunately, I may be going ahead of myself, but if I am, I'm gonna repeat myself. We tend to date people, marry people, get engaged with people, get in situationships with people because of potential. Now, I'll take that back. Let's scratch situationships out. It depends on the situation, on the situationship. But we tend to try to commit to people based upon potential that we see in them, and and that's where we get heartbreak from. That's where we get disappointed from, because we should be able to see their potential, but also look into their reality, or look at the reality of things. Potential never reflects reality. I'm going to say that again. Potential never reflects reality. Potential is something future based. Potential is something that needs to be built, needs to be cared for, watered, cultivated. And if that's not being done, you're looking at a prospect. You're looking at something that could develop into that potential, instead of looking at the reality of things. So if that person has potential and you let them know what area of potential that they have, if they're not willing to guard it, if they're not willing to cultivate it, build it, practice it, exercise, whatever it is, if they're not willing to do that, then it's just potential. It is just unused ability, skill sets, whatever it may be. And while you are focused on that potential, your reality is hell. I'm about to move forward. I'm about to move forward. So we fall in love with potential. So one of the biggest reasons people stay in unhealthy relationships is because of the potential. I just said it. It's as simple as that. You see who the person could become. You see what the relationship could be. You see the future. You see your future together. So you imagine all of this, that y'all are together because of this potential. You see the good moments, and you remember the promises, and you keep hoping that one day their behavior will match the person you believe they can become. Listen to this. Potential has kept more people stuck than reality ever has. Yikes. Potential has kept more people stuck than reality has. Potential is power. Potential is powerful because it allows us to build an emotional relationship with a future person, or a future you, or a future that does not exist yet. We stop, relating to the person in front of us, and we begin relating to the person we hope that they would become. So we sit here and we're dating, engaged. We're married to someone. We're with two people. We're with two people. We're with the person that we're hoping that they become. We're with the potential, but yet you're with reality person. So potential person is who you in love with. You focus on that, right? But the reality person you don't like. And some of us are in that stage or in that space. Unfortunately, you have to love the potential, but you also have to love the reality of where the person is at this moment. You just have to try to encourage them, show them. Relationships, I don't know why I'm going here, but I am. Relationships have everything to do with investing. Does not, it's not about what you can get. It's not an ATM machine. And unfortunately, a lot of people use relationships as a ATM machine, as a what can I get? How much can I get? Until I can't get it no more, until I can find somebody else where I can get even more, right? Relationships, marriage, being engaged, these things, friendships, the commitment is investing in each other. And when you make an investment, you don't get what you don't get all of it out when you soon as you make that investment. So, for prime example, those who invest in stocks, those who invest in their 401k, excuse me, in their 401k, it takes time to build, to accumulate over time. What you have invested accumulates. And if you try to withdraw what has not matured yet on what you invested, you're not going to get what you are expecting to get. So if you have had your 401k for 4 years, but you're trying to buy $1 million house with your 401k, your expectations of that, I think, is delusional. Especially when you look at your 401k, you're not, after 5 years, you're not going to have enough to buy $1 million house. You're just not going to be able to do that. And you're going to be disappointed when you try to withdraw the down payment for $1 million house. You just don't have enough. So you have to let it mature. But back on the basis, back on basis. What happens is that, we can't build a healthy relationship around someone who might become. We have to pay attention to who they consistently show themselves to be, who they show up to actually be. So promises matter, but patterns tell the truth. So that's a big thing. Promises matter, but patterns tell the truth. So don't let a promise make you ignore patterns. Don't let promises, or don't let a promise make you ignore patterns. So don't allow that potential to make you ignore the pattern. So people can change, people can mature, people can heal, but real change is not proven by an emotional conversation. Real change is proven by consistent behavior over time. An apology is important, but an apology without change eventually becomes part of the pattern. So, so words may explain intentions, but patterns reveal capacity. Okay, so words can explain intention, but patterns reveal capacity. Someone may intend to love you well, but they don't have the capacity. Do you have the emotional maturity? Do you have the self-awareness? Or do they have self-awareness? Do they have the discipline? Do they have the willingness to take accountability and or responsibility? So, good intentions don't automatically create healthy relationships, right? And love itself can't, how can I say this? Love itself cannot do the work that personal responsibility refuses to do, right? So love can't change. You can't love someone to change. I want to say it that way. My father taught me that a long time. He was like, you can't love someone to cause them to change. The only thing that's going to change is you, and you're going to become bitter. You're going to be, you're going to hold regret and bitterness, because it doesn't matter what you're going to do. You're going to overextend yourself. You're going to overgive. You're going to do whatever it is to please this person, but they will never change. So love can never change. Love can't make someone change. It is a personal choice. So you can't support someone's growth. You can only encourage them. You can communicate your needs, but you cannot heal someone who has made peace with hurt. Man, that's man, that's golden right there. That you should write that down. You should write that down. You cannot heal someone who has made peace with hurt. You cannot love someone into accountability. You can't. So because accountability is a decision they have to make themselves, right? It's something that they have to make themselves. So I want to talk about red flags. Ignore red flags ignore become relationship patterns. Most red flags are not hidden. They are usually revealed early. The problem is that we explain them away. Unfortunately, we say they have been through a lot. They just need more time. They are afraid of love. They are not used to someone like me. I know I've said that plenty of times. They are under a lot of pressure. They don't mean, or they didn't mean it in that way. Now, by saying a lot of stuff, it's showing compassion, and compassion is important, but we should always have compassion for people's experiences, but compassion should not be required for us to deny the reality that is going on right in front of us. So understanding why someone behaves a certain way does not mean you have to accept that behavior, right? So explanations doesn't cancel the impact, right? So the explanation doesn't cancel the impact. So you can understand someone's pain and still recognize their behavior is hurting you, right? So you can explain it, but you can't explain it away. You can't explain the impact of what their behavior has done to you, right? So again, we can acknowledge that stuff. You can understand their past and still require healthy behavior in the present. And from that person, you can care about what happened to them without allowing them to repeatedly take it out on you, right? So red flags ignored eventually become relationship patterns. So what you dismiss in the beginning may become what I'm sorry. Let me say it this way: what you dismiss in the beginning can be the dismise of the relationship. So what you overlook in the beginning will be the thing that destroys the relationship and maybe even you. Right. So the inconsistency you excuse while dating may become emotional neglect in the commitment. The disrespect you call a misunderstanding may become the normal language of the relationship. The jealousy you call love may become controlling. The lack of accountability you call immaturity may become years of repeated harm. What you normalize today becomes become what you tolerate tomorrow. So so get a hand on the the red flags in the beginning, so it doesn't become the thing that causes the relationship or marriage or the engagement to end, right? So being wanted is I'm sorry, I forgot my thought. Okay, yeah. Um, this is why you can't afford to be so focused on being chosen that you forget to evaluate the person choosing you because of these things that we explain away. But being wanted is not the same as being valued. Someone can want access to you without having the capacity to care for you. That's crazy. And a lot of us are in relationships like that. We're so heavy that they don't have the capacity to carry us. Sometimes we get dropped a lot because that person don't have the strength to carry us, nor carry the relationship with us. So somebody could enjoy what you provided without being committed to your well-being. Someone can desire your presence without respecting your heart. That that is why the goal is simply to be chosen. The goal the goal is to be chosen well. So it's just not simply being chosen, but it's being chosen well. Now, I want to say this: discovery comes before direction. Discovery comes before direction. So a lot of people ask, how do I find the right person? How do I find the right person, RC? How do I find the right person? And I tell them, but that's not the first question. I tell them that's not the first question that you should even be asking me. The first question should be, what keeps leading me toward the wrong people? So, like I said, discovery comes before direction. So, awareness comes before change. Healing comes before healthy attachment. You you don't you don't you don't need like another dating strategy if you're not examining the patterns, that's influencing your decisions. So a strategy may help you meet new people, but healing shapes your decisions. Healing helps you choose differently. So a new person cannot fix old patterns. I said it again. A new person can't fix old patterns. So you can go to another city. You can join another dating app. You can change your appearance. You can create a new list of standards. But if your beliefs remain the same, you may simply choose the same pattern in a different person. That is the reason for this series, relationship discovery. This is why I created this session, these sessions, this channel for these things. Is because before you discover someone else, you need to discover yourself. You need to discover yourself of what attracts me, what causes me to ignore red flags. Why do I stay longer than I should in a relationship? Why do I fear what do I fear about healthy love? What part of me becomes activated when someone pulls away? Do I chase? Do I shut down? Do I overgive? Do I start performing for affection? Do I abandon my boundaries because I'm afraid of losing this relationship or this person? Right? So relationships reveals us. They reveal our fears. They reveal our expectations. They reveal our wounds. They reveal our strengths. They reveal areas where we have grown and the areas that we still need to heal from. But that does not mean you are broken. It just means that you are human. And the goal is not to become perfect, because we'll never become perfect people. We're always going to have flaws. But again, it's not about becoming a perfect person. or becoming perfect before entertaining a relationship. The goal is just to become aware enough that your unhealed areas are no longer making all the decisions. Like those unhealed areas are driving your relationship, driving your behavior, driving your reactions and your responses. So you can't have wounds without allowing your wounds to be. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say it this way: you can have wounds without allowing your wounds to choose for you. As I just said, you can have wounds, you can heal from them, but let them take a back seat. They've been driving long enough. They've been driving long enough. You can't have fears and still make wise decisions. You can desire love without accepting confusion. You can be hopeful without ignoring reality. You can forgive without reopening the same door. You can care without losing yourself. And you can love someone and still recognize that they are not healthy for you. And that takes maturity, and it takes emotional maturity. You know, emotional maturity is not the absence of feelings. It is the ability to feel deeply without allowing every feeling to make the actual decision. You know, your emotions make great passengers but terrible drivers. Like I said, it needs to stop driving. You know, these wounds and your emotions need to take a back seat. You know, because it's leading you to the same dead end. You know, so let your, like I said, feelings are important. So, let your feelings speak, but let wisdom steer. Let wisdom drive the car, right? Let wisdom drive the car. So I just want to touch on something here as we end in this session, just our relationship reflection. So, again, as we close, I want to, again, take a moment and think honestly about your relationship history. It's not about, judging yourself. It's not about criticizing yourself. It's not about anything negative. It's just about becoming curious. What patterns keep repeating? What kind of person continues to attract you? What behavior have you repeatedly explained away? What red flags you have normalized? What belief about yourself may be influencing what you actually accept? Are you choosing what is, healthy, or are you choosing what feels familiar? Are you attracted to peace, or are you only attracted to intensity? Do you want the person in front of you, or are you attracted to their potential? Are you are you are you being loved, or are you working to earn love? And maybe maybe the most important question of them all is, who do you become when you are afraid of losing someone? Because sometimes we don't lose ourselves all the time, but we lose ourselves one we lose ourselves slowly. I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? Compromise. We lose ourselves by one compromise at a time, right? I think that's better. I think that's the word I'm looking for. One ignored boundaries at a time, one excuses at a time, one may chance, one more chance at a time. But until you look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person you that we become trying to keep a relationship, the better we'll know how to navigate, right? But your awareness gives you the opportunity to come back to yourself. It gives you the opportunity to make a different choice, different decisions. It gives you the opportunity to say, what, I understand the pattern now, and I no longer want to repeat it. Your last or your past may explain your patterns. So you may want to look over your history of relationships and see the common thread. Write it down and see the common thread. And once you see that common thread, what you want to do is making start making strategic and specific ways of how to not only recognize that theme, that pattern that has happened, but how to navigate away from it, and where you want to be healthy, first with yourself first, but also for the future. So I want you to remember this, and I want to leave you with this. You are not doomed to repeat what you're willing to heal. Okay, so you're not doomed to repeat what you're willing to heal. So if you're willing to heal, take this and you're willing to heal, it can make you better. You can learn from it. You will choose better. You can love better, and you can receive love in a healthier way. The goal again is not to blame your past. The goal is to understand it so well that it no longer controls your presence, right? Your past, and that it doesn't control your present or your future. So healthy love begins with healthy awareness, and sometimes choosing the right person begins with becoming honest about why you kept choosing the wrong person, right? So next time we talk, now this session next week, we're going to talk about chemistry versus compatibility. We're going to get into that because attraction may start a relationship, but I can't even talk. I was so tired. It's all good. Capability or compatibility. I'm sorry. I don't know why I want to say that word. Compatibility determines whether two people can actually build something healthy together, whatever it may be. So that is it of our session. I want to say thank you for listening. I want you to like, share. I want you to comment, share this with as many people as you can. Use this to help you grow. And I just want to say I am RC, your CBT and mental health practitioner, helping you to heal, grow, and become healthier in life and relationships. And I want you to remember this: the way that we love, when we love, let's love in the right way. Peace.